Hey everyone, my name is Emmanuel Ansa, and today I'll be going over my final presentation. And the topic I'll be discussing is the media impact on body image. Let's go into the agenda. First, I'll be giving a brief overview of the situation. Next, I'll be going over facts that I've accumulated from research and evidence. Then, I'll be going into the stakeholders involved in the issue. Then, I'll be going into the stakeholder values and conflicts. Next, I'll be going into strategies that we can implement. Next, I'll be going into the evaluation of those strategies and then giving my overall final solutions. Let's go into an introduction and overview of the issue. Over the years, the media has shown to have an influence on how people perceive their own bodies, both positive and negative. On the positive end, media has shown to promote body positivity and inspire physical fitness while being responsible for support groups and online communities. On the negative end, the media has shown to portray unrealistic beauty standards, leading to unfair comparisons, as well as causing bullying both online and offline. This raises the question on whether the media is worth looking into in regards to body image. To understand the issue further, here we have some additional facts that show the impact of media on body image. Idealized body imagery is extremely common in the social media space. Firstly, there's been an increase of misleading content on social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat. Additionally, there's been an increase of photo editing tools and filters to make the perfect photo. These overrepresent how people think their bodies will look, leading to factors such as body dysmorphia as well as eating disorders. And furthermore, here we have some statistics. Research and stats also show that both males and females continue to be exposed to images we encounter online and are digitally manipulated by what they see. Here I have some examples. More than 50% of adults in the US, the UK, Australia, France, and Germany have reported waist stigma. Additionally, nearly 70% of women report withdrawing from activities due to negative body image. 41% of men thought they were too heavy and are self conscious about their weight, with 16% of those males reported being too uncomfortable in a swimsuit. And lastly, 11% thought they were unattractive. Next, we'll be going into the stakeholders of the issue. Let's go into the six stakeholders in the ethical issue of media and body image. First, we have media companies. Media companies are responsible for creating, curating, and distributing the images that shape body image. Next, we have influencers and content creators. They are the face of modern advertising today. The curated and edited images reach millions of viewers. They also use filters, editing apps, and sponsorships tied to beauty standards. They also shape body norms and trends and ideal lifestyles. Next, we have the consumers. They are the primary audience for media imagery, making them an overall target. Next, we have the parents and educators. The parents monitor exposure, try to protect the mental well-being of the consumers, and the teachers address media literacy and social pressures in schools. Next, we have health professionals. Health professionals deal with the consequences by treating body dysmorphia, eating disorders, and mental health symptoms tied to body image. Lastly, we have advocacy and body positive organizations. These groups promote diversity, inclusion, and overall well-being. Next, we'll be going into the potential gains and losses for each stakeholder. First, for media companies, they'll be able to have higher profits and brand identity, but can also receive backlash and loss of credibility. Next, for influencers and content creators, they can have more engagement and profit, but pressure to maintain image, risk of losing followers if they don't keep up, and burnout. Next, we have consumers of the content. It could be a source of motivational content, but can also lower self esteem and cause unrealistic comparisons and eating disorders. Next, we have parents. It can be a source of educational content about body image, but can have stress, imagined exposure, hard communication, and monitoring of those content. Next, we have health professionals. Health professionals will be able to have higher demand for therapy and support, but it can also lead to increased labor of supporting the youth. And lastly, we have advocacy groups. It can be an opportunity for them to spread influence on the issue, but they might have the limited resources compared to larger companies. So, with this in mind, this raises the primary issue of whether the media has a role in portraying diverse and realistic body images. It also raises the secondary issues of impact on mental health, corporate responsibility and transparency, as well as the ethics involved in promoting such content. Next, we'll be going into the stakeholder values as well as the stakeholder conflicts. Here we have the stakeholder values. Stakeholder values include truth and accuracy, independence, fairness, humility, and accountability. And then here we have stakeholder conflicts. Stakeholders may tend to promote lies and half truths, may struggle with keeping up with the social responsibility, may promote harmful stereotypes, and also cause manipulation in their customers. Next, we'll be going into strategies and consequences. This includes the status quo, as well as three alternative strategies, while including the pros and cons of each. The first strategy is the status quo. Following the status quo means no changes will be made as the media continues to create and publish imagery that promotes idealized body images. The pros of this can be support and community through online and offline groups, as well as representation in different body sizes and body positivity. On the other hand, following the status quo can cause problems such as cyberbullying, unrealistic beauty standards, and idealizing dangerous habits in people. Let's go into the first alternative strategy. The first alternative strategy is labeling of alter images. This is where advertising messages must bear a retouched photo label when needed. This is shown by an article by Clark in 2017. The pros of this will be transparency, low in costs, and customers will be able to know if a photo is altered. The cons of this is it can be a complicated and time-consuming process, and the labels may be ignored. Also, the might still be in place. The next strategy is setting regulations for inclusive body image. This is where regulations and laws will be in place by advocacy groups as well as the government to help prevent discrimination against body types. The pros of this will be help to enhance quality of life and reduce body discrimination while creating a more equitable society as people of different body sizes will have better opportunities. The cons of this can be potential resistance from the companies. And lastly, we have strategy 3, which is promoting ethical advertising. Companies should practice ways to ensure their advertising efforts adhere to ethical standards. This involves performing ethical guidelines, and training employees ethically. The pros of this is ads will not contain any unrealistic body images. It will also help to build consumer trust and reduce risk of backlash. The cons of this is it may require time, staffing, and costs, and it may slow down marketing timelines. Next, we go into the evaluation of these four strategies. Starting off first with the status quo. The prudential, legal, and regulatory factors are fewer legal requirements, profit incentives, and weaker customer protection. The moral outcomes of the status quo will be reinforces unrealistic beauty standards, harms mental health, prioritizes profit over well-being, and includes an overall lack of transparency. The costs and resources involved are low company costs, lack of training or audits, and overall risk of backlash. This is overall the worst strategy. Next, we go into alternative one. The prudential, legal, and regulatory factors are requires monitoring, disagreements on what counts as retouched. The moral outcomes of this would be increases transparency and reduces any harmful comparisons, and costs and resources are low company costs, some admin tasks, and minor training will be required. Next, for alternative two, the prudential, legal, and regulatory factors are requirements the involvement of the government and may need legal adjustments. The moral outcomes are promotes fairness and reduces discrimination while normalizing diverse bodies and long-term change. And the costs and resources are higher and with legal monitoring and need for restructuring campaigns. And lastly, alternative three. This aligns with ethical standards and no legal penalties are involved. The moral outcomes are it builds trust, reduces any harmful portrayals, improves mental health, and supports ethical responsibility. This involves moderate costs and may slow marketing timelines. My overall recommended strategy is Strategy 3. Strategy 3 can be implemented internally by companies without any legal barriers. It is more impactful than the other two strategies because it solves the root of the problem, which is the advertising of idealized body images in media. Strategy 3 also has a long term change because the approach to content creation in companies becomes more responsible, which leads to a more sustained improvement instead of a temporary or surface level improvement. The core concepts shown in Strategy 3 are utilitarianism. This improves the overall well being because it reduces mental health harms while remaining feasible enough for companies to adopt. It avoids the negative consequences of inaction while maintaining operational efficiency needed for long term adoption. Strategy 3 also includes Kantian ethics. Unrealistic body portrayals treat customers as a means to an end for profit. Strategy 3 respects human dignity by ensuring that advertising does not include insecurities or exploit self image. And lastly, Strategy 3 involves virtue ethics. Ethical advertising practices encourage companies to embody virtues like honesty, responsibility, fairness, and integrity in decision making practices. Overall, Strategy 3 is the best strategy because it is the most practical and ethically sound solution. It helps to reduce harm, protect vulnerable customers, improve brand trust, align with ethical theories, and has a long term cultural change without requiring any heavy regulation or requiring any legal barriers.